Okay, so Calvin, how about for you? You know, when you hear of an opening, it's not quite the one you're looking for. How flexible are you willing to be to, I guess, examine any option?
You just got to be very flexible. If it's not fit, then you just move on to the next job. I mean, there are going to be several no's before that yes comes.
Yeah.
So just kind of have your resume prepared and just be truthful and facts about it.
And you're a civil engineer. We said earlier you're an IT engineer,
Yes.
civil engineer. So are you looking at some of your skills and thinking, how are they transferable into another industry, something that has not been my comfort zone? Are you there yet?
Well, what I did, I took my resume and revamped it. So all the skills now are brought out. So when I have another company that has different set of skills, it's kind of a little bit interchangeable. So it's not just honed in just to one type of industry. So you're not lying or anything on your resume, but bring out your skills so that can attract more potential employers.
All right, Josh, what else do you have?
Yeah, I'll tell you about one more, and I'll tell you, everyone, in case they're just joining us, that you can keep these questions coming. Weekends at CNN.com, my Facebook page, Josh Loves CNN. I'm just going to tell you quickly about one from Anthony, and really what he's saying summarizes what a lot of people are feeling. He says he is seeing so much help to the big, powerful companies, and he just wants to know, from your perspectives, if there really is help coming right now for what he calls the working stiffs who live by their paychecks. Has there really been help from the government so far to revitalize the job market?
April, how about you on that?
I think there is, and I think the thing you have to do is kind of follow the money from the stimulus package. In other words, the government's going to be hiring, but who's getting the money from the government? And pay attention to that. You know, be your own detective on Google and in the newspaper and every place else you can to find out who's getting that money and who's in turn going to be hiring, and go after those companies and those jobs. We're going to feel it in a couple months, but there still are jobs out there.
And you know what? We keep hearing that, and I think a lot of folks who are unemployed are saying, we keep hearing that, but really, point me in the right direction. We hear that nursing industry is one of the areas where the jobs are. What are you seeing? I mean, you're a headhunter, you're a job recruiter.
You know, healthcare.
What industry?
We see healthcare, we see credit collections, technology, aerospace. There's still a lot happening. I can't be in business if I don't put people on jobs every day, and it's happening. So there's still things going on. I think people need to anticipate some of these questions and concerns a prospective employer is going to have before they get in front of them, and be able to address it or even bring it up during their interview or in their 4 minutes on the phone, because they're not going to get another chance, and there's so much competition that you have to be prepared.
Okay, and so Eddie, my producer, do we have time now for any more emails, or do we need to take a short break? Okay, we're going to take a short break right now. We've got time, though, on the other side of the break for more emails. A lot of folks want to know, all right, so I land the job interview. I've had that FaceTime. Now what? Am I going to be a pest, or do I need to be persistent?
Well, don't be a pest. Never be, being a pest is not a good answer. Persistence, I think, is good. And it might frustrate an employee, but look, you're competing with thousands of other people for one job. One job.
So you want to be a standout. Jobless, but not hopeless. It is very tough out there looking for a job. How tough?
Wow. That's what I'm thinking. And I guess for us to have the highest unemployment rate is another wow. But, this, I think, is good. Lets us know that, the politicians care and that you're trying to get us all back to work. And that's really appreciated. There's a lot of people out here, and I'm one of, 10,000, I have a 1 in 10,000 chance of getting a job, and I hope that my resume and what I have, it can grab a job. But I mean, I think it's good. I think it's a good opportunity for people out there that, what can I do next to go to a job fair?
Well, I look at it like this. Some employees might want an older person. Some employees might want a younger person. Why? Because the older person might have more experience. The younger person, they might think the usefulness, but then again, they might think the younger person don't want to work. So it's hard to say.
All those things kind of streaming through everybody's mind there when they go to a job fair. That's how we met a lot of the people there. So the whole objective, you go to a job fair and you hope to get some face time with a recruiter, with a prospective employer. And so we are joined by those two people that we just described. April Fawcett-Nagel is a job recruiter. James Holleran is an overseas recruiter for Comcast Southern Division. He's an actual employer who is in a position of hiring some folks. So if you go to a job fair, you just might be meeting these two individuals. So you get that FaceTime, then what? How do you follow up to try to nail down that job? Josh is fielding some of your emails. What are people asking?
Interesting one right about that, Fred, about this FaceTime. I got one from Jim, who is a former HR manager himself. And he says, you know what? He manages to get to that interview, but once they see that he has gray hair, that he's been in the workforce for a long time, he says all they start to think is, how many years will I have this person before I need to replace this person? How do you get past that?
All right, Jim?
Well, I'd be envious if I could have gray hair. I'm looking for any kind of but in all seriously, you've got to fit. It's a puzzle. You've got to put the two pieces together. If you have gray hair and you've been in the business a long time, you have that to your benefit. You can bring more to the table.
And that really is the conventional thinking. I mean, you associate that with experience, and that should make you much more appealing. But people are starting to feel like once you're over 40 these days, or over 50, that lessens the chance of you nailing a job.
Absolutely. And, you know, sometimes perception is reality. We don't want that to be the case. You know, the one thing is, if you've had, 20 years in the business world, you have a lot of networks. You have a lot of people you can reach out to. You have a lot of contacts. Do that. Reach out to them. Let them know, hey, I've been laid off. Do you know of anything? Because if you find one person a year, that's 20 people you can network if you had a
All right. And Josh, any questions that folks have about how persistent should I be to try to nail that job?
Actually, they do, and this plays right at the opposite end of the spectrum from what we were just hearing. A really interesting one from a woman asked not to use her name, but she has get this, Fred, she has a 23-year-old son. She is disabled, totally disabled. Her husband is terminally ill. Her husband is straight out of college, and pretty much they're looking, or not, I'm sorry, not husband, her ex-husband, but anyway, they're now looking to him to see if he can support himself. He's 23 years old. He is being persistent, but he's so far not able to get a job. So let's look at that end of the spectrum.
So,
you're 23. What do you play to? What are your strengths?
Yeah, so April, do you ever hear from employers that you're in contact with that, you know what, I like that person, but then they kept calling me? I mean, can you be too persistent? Can that cost you the opportunity?
You can't stalk. There is a difference, but I think you have to get that personal connection. If you can get that personal connection in whatever face-to-face contact you have, or during the interview, find some commonality. The same college you went, it doesn't matter. Try to find something. They will be more apt to remember you, and then you've got to do the follow-up. Checking in without being stalking. If you come across an article or piece of information that has some relevance to this person, you can send it off to them and say, thought you might be interested in this. And by the way, just checking on whether you have any openings still.
Okay, April, Jim, thanks so much. And Josh, I know we've got more emails too. We all know how stressful it is to lose a job. Just imagine the stresses it really does impose on an entire family.